Hey there, welcome back guys. Today we are diving a creepy rule story about a secret bunker in Chicago, so let's dive in. This isn't easy to talk about. I'm not even sure I'm supposed to be alive to tell you this. Last summer, I got hired for what I thought was a security job at a government facility in Chicago. They paid in cash. No records. No badge. Just an NDA and a folder of rules. I thought it was a joke at first. Rules like, never speak to the man in the hazmat suit, and don't look directly at the monitors in room 17 after 2 a.m. But then I heard screaming coming from the red-lit corridor. And when I checked the cameras, I saw myself already standing there. This is what happened my first night. They called it Facility D13. It's not on any map. A concrete labyrinth hidden under the loop in downtown Chicago. No one told me what went on there. I figured it was military storage, or maybe just an old Cold War bunker. But the moment I stepped through the 12-inch thick steel doors, I knew I'd made a mistake. The shift supervisor was a man in a black suit with a face that seemed wrong, like it didn't quite fit his skull. He handed me a folder. No greeting. No explanation. Inside was a single sheet of paper. 12 rules for night shift staff, Facility D13. 1. Do not attempt to access level 6. There is no level 6. If you find yourself on level 6, close your eyes and count backwards from 100. When you open them, you will either be back on level 5 or you will no longer exist. 2. At 11:45 p.m., check the containment cell marked C12. If the glass is fogged, do not clean it. Walk away. Do not look inside. 3. If you hear knocking from the air vents, knock back exactly 3 times. No more, no less. Then leave the area immediately. 4. The man in the hazmat suit is not an employee. Do not speak to him. Do not make eye contact. 5. At midnight, you may hear a child laughing from the elevator shaft. Do not investigate. 6. Surveillance room 17 will go dark at 1:30 a.m. Remain seated. Whatever you hear behind you is not real unless it speaks your name. 7. The red-lit corridor must remain unoccupied at all times. If you see someone walking there, sound the alarm and lock the door behind them. 8. The intercom may emit static around 2 a.m. If you hear a voice whisper, open it, cover your ears and do not move until the static stops. 9. Do not accept coffee or food from any personnel you do not recognize. 10. You are not allowed to know what's in room 32. Do not ask. Do not listen if someone tries to tell you. 11. If you see a second version of yourself on the security cameras, shut off the feed immediately. The second you begins walking, you are already too late. 12. Under no circumstances should you press the button labeled Purge. It is not a fire alarm. It is not a drill. It is not for you. Follow the rules, the man in the suit said, or you'll become part of the experiment. I laughed nervously. You didn't? The security room was cold and windowless. Rows of monitors displayed corridors, laboratories, holding cells. Most of the footage was silent, but some cameras played on loop. Same man walking the same hall, over and over, except on monitor 7. There, I saw someone standing still in the red-lit corridor. The footage was grainy, but he was wearing my uniform. At 11:45 p.m. Rule 2. If the glass is fogged, do not clean it. Walk away. The glass was fogged. Something shifted behind the condensation. A handprint. Small. Childlike. The fingers were too long. They tapped the glass slowly. Tap, tap, tap. I backed away. But before I rounded the corner, I heard a faint voice. Don't leave me here. I remember your face. At 12 a.m. I heard it as soon as the clock hit midnight. Laughter. High-pitched. Playful. coming from inside the elevator shaft. The cameras showed nothing, but the elevator cables vibrated like something was climbing up. I remembered Rule 5, do not investigate. So I turned away. But then my radio crackled. Carter, come play with me. They knew my name. At 1:30 a.m., the lights cut out. The monitors went black. And in the silence, I heard footsteps behind me. Slow, deliberate. They circled the chair. Something cold brushed the back of my neck. Rule 6 flashed in my mind, remain seated. Whatever you hear behind you is not real unless it speaks your name. But, Carter. I spun around. No one was there. But the door to the security room had been replaced. Same steel frame, but instead of a keypad, a single glowing button, purge. The intercom crackled. A whispering voice. Open it. The red-lit corridor flashed on the monitors. I saw my double standing there smiling. But now he was holding a keycard. And in the reflection of the monitor, I wasn't smiling anymore. I wasn't even blinking. That was my first night at Facility D13. In Part 2, I'll tell you about what's down on Level 6. About the real purpose of the red-lit corridor. And why no one ever makes it to their third shift. And if you ever get offered a job in a government bunker, don't take it. Some doors should never be opened. Okay, now let's start Part 2. In Part 1, I told you about my first night in Facility D13, a secret government bunker under Chicago. I was given a strange set of rules. Don't look in fogged glass. Don't speak to the man in the hazmat suit. Don't investigate the laughter from the elevator shaft. I followed them all, mostly. But at 1:30 a.m., the surveillance room went dark. I heard footsteps behind me. And when I checked the cameras, I saw my double standing in the red-lit corridor, holding a keycard. That wasn't the worst part. A button appeared in my security room. A single word glowing above it. Purge. This was only the beginning. I didn't press the button. But when I turned around, the door was gone. Just solid concrete where it used to be. The air smelled like burned hair. And on the monitors, every hallway now glowed faint red. The black folder on my desk wasn't there before. It had grown thicker. Its pages now handwritten in frantic scrawl. New rules, page 2. 13. If the monitors all display red light, begin emergency lockdown. If you are unable to initiate lockdown, do not move until the lights turn white again. 14. At 2 a.m., the elevator doors may open even if you did not call them. If someone steps out wearing your uniform, do not engage. They are not leaving. 15. Level 6 does not exist. If you find yourself descending to Level 6, cover your eyes and recite, I am not part of the experiment. Continue until the elevator stops. 16. If the containment alarms sound, you have 3 minutes to seal the red-lit corridor. Failure to do so will result in duplication. 17. Do not answer the intercom if it calls your name in reverse. 18. The man in the hazmat suit will follow you. Do not run. Do not let him clean you. At 2:05 a.m., the elevator dinged. I hadn't called it. The doors slid open. Inside was me. Same uniform. Same badge. Same tired face. But his eyes were black. Completely void. He stepped forward and the air felt heavy like the room was filling with water. I stayed still. He stopped inches away from my face and whispered, "You're not real, Carter." And then he vanished. At 2:15 a.m., the intercom buzzed. A garbled voice came through. "Ari Teresi, open the door." They were saying my name. Backwards. I didn't answer. But the door handle began to turn anyway. Something pressed against the other side. A wet, slapping sound, like raw meat sliding across glass. Then silence. At 2:45 a.m., the cameras caught him first. A man in a stained hazmat suit walking slowly through level 3. His boots left black footprints. He dragged a mop behind him, its head soaked with something thick and dark. Rule 18 echoed in my head, "Do not let him clean you." As I watched, he stopped and stared directly into the security camera. Then he waved. At 3 a.m., the alarms blared. Containment breach. Rule 16, seal the red-lit corridor within 3 minutes. I grabbed the override key and ran. The corridor hummed like it was alive. Something was moving inside. Dozens of shadows, crawling along the walls and ceiling. And at the far end, my double again. This time he was smiling. But his smile stretched too wide, splitting his cheeks. Blood dripped onto the floor. Level 6. I sprinted back to the security room and hit the elevator. I pressed level 1, but it kept descending. Level 4. Level 5. Then the display read. Level 6. The doors opened. I shouldn't have looked. Rows of glass tanks stretched into the darkness. Each tank held a copy of me. Dozens of Carters floating in green liquid. Their mouths opened in perfect sync. You're part of the experiment now. The lights flickered. The tanks cracked. One by one, my copies began crawling out. The elevator door behind me slammed shut. A siren wailed. Purge initiated. Experiment unstable. The last thing I saw before the lights went out completely. My own face pressed against the glass. But this one's eyes were alive. And it whispered, "You can't leave now. You never could." That was my second night at Facility D13. In Part 3, I'll tell you what's really happening beneath Chicago. About the experiment that started decades ago. And why no one ever survives their third shift. Don't forget to subscribe Dark Horror Bytes. And if you ever find yourself descending into level 6, don't open your eyes. So now this is the ending part of the story. Sip your coffee and enjoy the last part. In parts 1 and 2, I told you about my first 2 nights working security at Facility D13, a government bunker beneath Chicago. I was handed a strange rule book. Rules like, don't speak to the man in the hazmat suit. Don't investigate level 6. Don't let your double see you breathing. But I broke the rules. On my second night, I descended to level 6. I saw tanks full of copies of myself, and they started waking up. Then I heard a siren and a voice say, "Purge initiated." That's when I realized I was never guarding the experiment. I was the experiment. The lights flickered. Green emergency bulbs cast the hallways in a sickly glow. The elevator was gone. And I wasn't alone. Dozens of me, identical copies, crawled out of shattered tanks. Their voices overlapped like a broken choir. "You are subject C13. Return to your chamber." I ran. The binder was waiting for me in the corridor, open to its last page. The rules were written in blood. Final rules, page 3. 19. Do not speak to any version of yourself you meet in level 6. They will lie to you. They do not know they are copies. 20. At 3:33 a.m. the lights will fail completely. Find the observation chamber before this happens, or you will be lost in the dark forever. 21. You may hear screaming from the ventilation ducts. Do not respond even if the voice sounds like you. 22. The man in the hazmat suit will offer you a choice. Neither option leads home. Choose carefully. 23. The final rule is not written. You will know it when the time comes. 2:59 a.m. The hazmat man returns. The hazmat man appeared at the far end of the hall. His faceplate reflected my own. He dragged his mop across the floor, leaving a streak of black sludge. I pressed against the wall, holding my breath. He stopped, then said in a voice I recognized as my own, "You've made a mess, Carter. Time to clean it up." He tossed me a key card. A single word was etched into the plastic. Purge. At 3:10 a.m. I used the key card on the only door with a glowing red panel. Inside was a single chair facing a massive glass window. On the other side, a room filled with hundreds of pods. Each pod contained a sleeping version of me. The file. On the console was a dusty folder labeled Project Doppelganger, Subject C13. I flipped it open. Case notes. Subject C13 shows unusual resistance to protocol decay. Previous iterations failed after exposure to level 6. Current version unaware of true status. Directive. Observe psychological collapse under rule imposition. Contingency. If subject reaches observation chamber, initiate purge protocol. Handwritten note. The subject always thinks they're the original. That's the beauty of it. At 3:28 a.m., the ventilation ducts rattled. Screams echoed from within. Dozens of voices, all screaming the same thing. "Let me out." I covered my ears, but one voice cut through louder than the rest. Was mine. "Carter, you're not real." "I am. Let me out before they purge us both." At 3:33 a.m., the lights went out. The glass window glowed faintly. A single figure moved among the pods. The hazmat man. He raised a hand and pointed at the console. 2 buttons blinked. Purge. Integrate. The intercom crackled. My own voice spoke from the speakers. "If you purge, you'll destroy them all, including yourself. If you integrate, you'll never leave. You'll become the next caretaker." The hazmat man leaned close to the glass. I finally saw his face. It was me. I reached for purge. The sirens wailed. The pods cracked open. Every version of me screamed in unison. "Carter, no." Then, silence. When I opened my eyes, I was sitting in the security room. The monitors flickered back to life. My reflection in the glass blinked. "Welcome to your first night shift, Carter." The black binder sat on the desk. Its cover read, "Rules for the Night Guard, Facility D13. That was my third and final night at Facility D13. Or maybe it was my first. I'm not sure anymore. If you ever get hired to work security in a government bunker, make sure you're the only you walking out when the shift ends. Subscribe for more creepy rules and true dark stories. Until then, stay safe and stay healthy.